Welcome to the Rebel News Daily live stream. We are speaking across the pond with Lewis Brackpool. How are you, young mate?
I am very well. How are you doing, sir? It's been a while.
Yes, you've abandoned me for weeks for greener pastures. Switzerland, whatever estate it was that you went to, I don't know, engage in British things. I'd imagine clay shooting and wearing a lot of plaid and woolen caps or something like that, wasn't it?
That was correct. I was up in Daventry. I was, in the Midlands, just having some time off, clay pigeon shooting, and just trying to take it easy.
Listening to lots of Oasis, no doubt. rebelnews.com/live streams is where you can get our daily feed, because we are on Rumble, Super U, Odyssey, Getter, and YouTube. And am I missing any? Super U, did I say that? Did I say Odyssey? I said them all, I think. I'm getting a thumbs up from the back. And if you want to speak to us, you can send us a paid chat, a Rumble rant, it's called, on rumble.com, a hyper chat on Odyssey, and a Super U shout on superu.net. You can give us questions and comments, and we always get lovely compliments for me, Lewis, on this show, because it's just truly what I deserve. And then people supporting Lewis.
Absolutely.
Wow, unbelievable. I'm wearing blue on a blue background. Maybe that's something you guys can comment on. So just send us that, and we will get to them throughout the show. And, of course, we have plenty of stuff to get to, all from jolly old England to start off with, Lewis. You want to throw something onto the board and see if it sticks? Maybe some LBC stuff, maybe some, pride policing. What do you got for us?
Right, let's begin with Sir Keir Starmer, as he's called over here. He's, of course, self-destructing his own political party, as he's very good at doing. Not to say, of course, Boris is doing the same thing, of course. He was recently interviewed once again on LBC, where a particular presenter by the name of Nick Ferrari interviewed him and asked him, previous to this interview, can a woman have a penis, Keir? And he couldn't quite answer that. He was struggling very much. And now it's arose again, where he was asked the same question months down the line. And he kind of originally said, some women do, but, vast majority don't. So, of course, using vague language, because, I didn't realise that Keir Starmer was a TERF, which is very odd. So I believe we have a clip to play of him saying it, but it's rather interesting, and I'd love to see your reaction to it.
All right, let's play it, and then I'll be aghast at whatever is said here on the London Broadcasting Corporation. We're taking a second here.
Can we resolve one thing? You will recall, a little while ago, we had a conversation about female and male anatomy. Annalise Dodds, your Women's and General Equality Secretary, says women cannot have a penis. Another of your senior colleagues, Stella Creasy, says a woman can have a penis. Sir Keir, can we put this to bed? Who's right?
Well, look, Nick, let me take this head on, because you challenged me on this last time. And let me be clear, for the vast majority of women, this is all about biology. And, of course, they don't have a penis. We all know that. Of course, they need safe spaces, and we all support that. I've been supporting that for many years. And, of course, we want more equality for women. Again, the Labour Party's been fighting that cause for a very, very, very long time. So for the vast majority of women, biology is what matters, and it's very clear they don't have a penis. But let's not leave out of account that there is a small minority of individuals who are born in a gender they don't now identify with. Some go through a process, others don't. And that is very traumatic for them. And I, for one, I'm going to respect and support them. And I think that's actually when most people step back from this. They think, well, that's a fair assessment, Keir. 99.9% probably of women, it's all biology. We must support them, safe spaces, more women's equality. But let's not pretend or disparage or fail to support a small group of people who actually struggle with their gender identity. And I think that we can resolve this if we all approach it in that spirit.
He is unable to say... Go ahead. Biology's always changing.
Well, this is it. It's 1 week it's one thing, 1 week it's another. What's the solution, Keir? what is the solution? I mean, you keep banging on about it. What is it? What, approach it with the same spirit? What does that even mean? I don't quite understand. But yeah, what are your thoughts on that, Sir Andrew?
Thank you for knighting me in real time, Lewis. I think that it's, the science on women is changing week to week here. One week, women have penises. The next week, it's only 99% of them that do. I don't see what the problem is to saying, yes, women are women and they do not have penises, but there are transgender people out there who identify with women. It's like he can't give an opinion on whether or not he believes, transgender people are the gender they claim to be or the sex they claim to be. It's all intertwined, of course. They don't want you to say that, but it's so hard. Like, the people that will come back at you for that are such a small minority of loud people, and it's not even, for the most part, transgender people. It's, like the blue-haired and the morbidly obese and the lonely men who really, really want to defend them because they see themselves, is this, what's the word I'm looking for? This large group, this conglomerate of people who've been wronged by society in some way, and they found a way to get back at everybody who's wronged them over the years by trying to seize control and ultimately getting money out of it, because that's what ends up happening. Is a group forms, a charity or an action group forms, and they demand recognition, they demand status, and they demand money. Happened with BLM, happens with the Pride organization, happens with March for Our Lives, happens with Women's March. Every time there's a social issue, a new company is then born out of it. And what does that company want? Money and power and political opportunity. That's my opinion, Lewis.
I don't think there's any more to add, personally. I think you've probably hit that on the head.
Wow.
That. So I guess that moves on to the next story. Regarding LGBT issues, but this issue is now arising with the police, more specifically the Essex police, where they put out a tweet of them holding, of course, the progressive LGBTQ++ flag.
Does this have the black and brown chevrons on it, Lewis? Let's be specific here.
It does.
Does it have the Ukraine flag on it? Does it have Ukraine colors on it?
It doesn't.
Wow.
It doesn't. So they are bigots.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Glad we were able to point that out.
This story arose when, of course, they posted this particular picture, and we can see the tweet here, where the Essex police turned around and said, "We celebrate diversity by raising the Pride Progress flag for #Pride Month at our headquarters, and to honour those who championed for equality before us. #We value difference." And of course, they added, "We're monitoring our posts, so all hate crimes will be reported and investigated."
It's like the old Cops show, a couple episodes of Cops where they put a bike out on the street with no lock and then arrest people who come, like homeless people who come in to steal the bike. Like, we're gonna say something ridiculous, and if you dare to disagree, we'll be monitoring you. And this is what's going to happen. I say arrest everybody who is tweeting at them, retweeting them, fine them. Nobody should be allowed to speak online. Nobody should have an opinion that differs from the Pride narrative. The problem here is, Lewis, what does this do for the police? Like, why do they need to be involved in this? Why do they're acting like it's Veterans Day or Remembrance Day for all the people who fought before us? Like, this is some sort of war that's been happening. There's no... I can't think of the last time there's been a monumental incident that was involving an anti-gay or trans hate crime. Now, they'll say that, they're all dying, which is, of course, a lie, unless we're talking about suicide rates, which are through the roof. But what do you think is the goal here? Just virtue signaling points? Are they giving people, upper hands in anything? Are they trying to what is the goal here for this PR move?
Do you know what? I don't know. I think it is virtue signaling. I think it just boils down to that. Of course, Essex has a lot of problems in that town, most specifically crime, but now it's to police mean tweets. And of course, England and the UK in general are so good at doing that. And we've been doing that for a long time now with non-incident hate crimes, where you can have a visit from your local police officer if you've posted something pretty spicy on Facebook or Twitter, or even just jokes or memes as well, spicy memes. You'll just be paid a visit. And of course, this is a current trend with a lot of the policing. And I don't even know. I'd love to sit down with these officers and try and interrogate them and find out, what do you class as a hate crime, and expand on that. I'd love to sit down and go through that. But unfortunately, I think most people will be arrested for even asking questions anyway. So, I don't think people will get that far.
There's going to be a new generation of online police officers, and they're going to work for the state.
Yeah.
And they're going to sit in a room like a drone pilot with 15 screens watching Twitter and Facebook, and even
already doing it.
Even Getter and Parler, even the far reaches of the right wingosphere. And they're going to be so proud of themselves, like a drone pilot who kills people from afar. They're going to be like, well, I wield this internet power, like a Reddit moderator almost, drunk on their own sense of power. But in this sense, they can actually charge you with something, whereas a Reddit moderator can, sit there and eat increasing amounts of Cheetos and laugh to themselves at the people they've banned. Crunchy
Basically,
Cheetos, not those puffy
right.
ones either. I don't know. Do you have Cheetos in England?
Cheetos in years. I probably Jamie Oliver probably banned them as well. So I haven't had them in such a long time. So
well, Lewis, if you can wipe off your orange crumbs off your fingertips, we've got another story about the NHS. They're getting rid of the word women from ovarian cancer guidance.
Yes,
which is obviously the right move. You want to read this one for us?
Yeah, sure. So this is from Summit News, of course. A report shows that the UK's National Health Service has scrubbed the word women from ovarian cancer guidance to be more inclusive. And it now states that trans men, non-binary people and intersex people can get ovarian cancer. And if we'd like to just scroll down to the main article, there we go. The NHS, of course, showing us what, their virtue is. So the Post-Millennial, of course, reported the development, noting that the NHS's erasure of women is from their resources on ovarian, cervical and womb cancers, of all which only impact women. So this was, of course, the report from the Post-Millennial, where Ashley St. Clair put out saying the woke movement is obsessed with the erasure of women. The UK's National Health Service drops women from guidance on ovarian cancer to be inclusive, but the word men appears prominently on male-specific conditions. Very interesting.
Well, we're going to have to get rid of that too.
Yeah, of course. We have to get rid of all of it. It would just be person X and person Y soon.
No,
I think this
that
is the
refers to chromosomes too accurately. It's going to have to be person 0. No, that's binary
person
too.
0.
I don't even think we can do
binary.
That. It's going to have to be.
Can't do it. Just got to say type A, type B. Is that
no,
too binary?
That's too binary
well,
as well.
I like to use the term women X. So, checkmate.
I like how these people have to go into a doctor's office and the doctor is required to now lie to them. Oh, have you had many men come in for ovarian cancer screenings? Yes, men come in all the time. They can get ovarian cancer just like women can. Wait, they are women. Wait, what am I doing here? And then by that point, the person is yanked off with a giant cane, like Looney Tunes, off the screen, and they are no longer practicing doctor. They go to the gulags where you will, monitor other people on the internet while looking at a flag of Ukraine and a picture of Vladimir Zelensky on the wall. I believe that's accurately what's going to happen soon, Lewis Brackpool, if I'm not mistaken.
No, you're not, of course. And this isn't the first time that the National Health Service has put up such... I don't like using the term, but I'm going to use it, wokery. And it's on the website, of course. The National Health Service had a particular blog called Dear White People, which, of course, expands to how NHS workers are to be taught a certain type of diversity training. It's not diverse, of course not. It's just hammering white people from what it sounds like. And of course, the actual blog itself is all about recognizing white privilege. And so these types of things from the NHS is not, of course, rare. This is a rather common practice. And what's next is the main question. I mean, you can't stop this sort of thing. It's just going to keep escalating and keep going. So I wonder what's next.
The 4 pillars of far leftism seems to be, gender ideology, racial ideology, and now our next topic, at least the third one, is COVID ideology. Then we can put climate change as number 4, let's say. And the Department of Health is advertising for a deputy director delivery lead COVID pass. So they're planning to have a department for COVID passes, obviously. And this is was being discussed in Parliament, if I'm not mistaken.
That is correct. And we noticed that you guys MP.
Sorry, I was just going to say, I noticed that you guys have literal benches, where in Canada, I don't think that they do.
Sounds like they're copying the rhetoric, mate. I'd sort that out.
I'll try.
Yeah, this is. There's a video, of course, which we'll watch as well, of Desmond Swayne, the Conservative MP, one of the very few good Conservative MPs, in my opinion, in our Houses of Parliament that actually asks the right questions.
Wait, Houses of Parliament? How many Houses of Parliament are there?
Sorry, we've got House of Parliament. Wait, no, you caught me out there. Sorry, House of Commons, and you have the House of Lords. So I meant to say House of Commons.
Well, you have a House of Lords. We don't have that. We don't have a Lord House. Seems rather, excessive and diplomatic, and really puts down the lower class of people. Oh, we're going to the House of Lords. Only the Lords will be expected. The landlords, the lords of the rings.
The land. Yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry, I'm getting off track here with tomfoolery.
Right. So this is Desmond Swayne calling out Sajid Javid on this particular position.
To Desmond Swayne. Why is his departmental leadership advertising for a deputy director delivery for a COVID pass? What's that about?
I can't keep it together for this guy.
My honourable friend, in asking that question, I believe the reason that the department is keeps that under review is that although the pass has stopped and there's absolutely no prospect, I could say, of ever it coming back into place, that it is right that when we wind this down and work on the digital resources, that all things that are necessary are looked at appropriately.
Didn't answer it.
No,
didn't answer it.
Lord Sway.
So,
have you taken in the possibilities of the COVID delivery lead COVID pass position as the prerequisite for the Tom Jobbery of the Jum Rubbery? Oh, I'm sorry, Lewis. Okay, continue.
That's all right. I actually quite like it personally, and that's from someone that lives quite rural. So, didn't answer the question.
No,
at all. Of course he didn't. So is COVID passes coming back? What are they up to? We don't know. But stay tuned on the next episode of What is Going On in My Country.
My dad called me the other day, Lewis, and he warned me about an 8th wave was coming. And I was like, every time I talk to him, I'm like, you really need to start changing the channel, old man, or else you're going to be, expecting something to happen that's, not going to happen if you stop watching, the government channels, but he's still in the thick of it out there. He's still in the thick of it up in rural Quebec, Canada, speaking French, doing other French things, eating poutines, diet Pepsis. Go ahead.
You're not allowed to call them poutines because Putin.
That's right.
So, big it.
Curds and gravy.
Ah, right.
Do you have those
poutines.
There? When was the last time you ate a poutine?
I don't think we have poutines over
All
here.
you do is you take
We only know of Putin.
Do you have French fries?
Yes, we do.
Do you have gravy?
Right. Call them chips, mate.
Do you have cheese? Yes, you have the greatest cheeses. What was the one you named for me last time?
Have you got cars over there, Lewis?
Well, all I'm saying is all you have to do is put them together and you've got a poutine. It's not as strict with the cheese curds as you might believe. And do you have cars, Lewis? In any event,
it's horse and cart, mate.
Yeah, we call them
buggies. We live
buggies.
in Guernsey, mate.
Guernsey? Is that an Amish area?
Guernsey, yeah.
You know, I sent Lewis over the weekend a clip from this English movie I was watching where they were so gypsy. One guy bites off another guy's nose as he's fighting him. He beats him with a hammer.
Oh, yeah.
The accents were hilarious. And I'm just like, I wonder if this is just a regular thing that Lewis has witnessed in his life. Nice hammer beating at the pub. Maybe a guy bites off the nose of another guy and, you know, on St. Patrick's Day or something.
I mean, no comment.
All right, we'll move on. Boris Johnson retained his prime ministership, I'll call it, the other day. Lewis was reporting on this as it happened in his time zone, of course. Lewis, was there any doubt that he wasn't going to maintain his position?
There was a slight bit of doubt. I think they timed it all wrong if they really wanted to go ahead with it. So this came about, of course, straight after the Jubilee, where backbenchers basically revolted and said, look, we've had enough of this. We've had enough of this yellow-haired buffoon. And it's time now to, of course, take some action. And, of course, I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, I think they voted, it was 141, correct me if I'm wrong, how many people voted for a no confidence against Boris, but, of course, the majority voted that they were confident in Boris and his leadership. Now, here's my personal opinion, okay, and this is just my opinion. If you removed Boris Johnson from office and we had a reshuffle and they decided to select another prime minister, there is no one else that would be any better, in my own personal opinion. 141, I did get that right.
Impressive.
And if you had someone like Jeremy Hunt take over, which I'm not going to make a joke from the surname, but,
brother of Mike.
If you had someone like Jeremy take over, who was pro-EU, was even said to Nadine Dorris, explaining that he wanted to model the COVID restrictions or the lockdown restrictions here, the model off of China, and actually explicitly said that. And then came out and lied and said that, of course, he was always against lockdowns. Of course he was.
That's why they didn't happen.
He was favoured to, of course, replace, and it would have been detrimental. And of course, if you look at the opposition, I mean, we'll probably have a general election very, very soon. I say probably, we will, and we're seeing a very, very poor opposition. So, to be honest, with what you're going to get in Parliament is either going to be the same or, if not worse. So, and I'm putting Boris Johnson on a very bad pedestal here. So, I don't know. There's no win-win. It's all lose-lose over here. So, really, the best thing to do is I know what Boris is going to be doing. He's going to be throwing the red meat out to his MPs and saying, look, now we're going to have to try and repair things and move on. He believes it was a good result. It's not a good result. You've got 141 MPs revolting against you and wanting you out of the leadership. It's pretty bad in this current situation. And there was a letter that we can show that outlines a few of the points that the MP Jesse Norman made. If we go to the first one, just on the left, and we can read some of it, we can zoom in a bit. I won't read all of it, but it brings the main points into this letter. If we zoom in a bit, is that possible? Is that possible? Okay.
Gonna have to
I've just had an eye test.
My frames are transparent. Just kidding. I have the ears of a, what has good ears? Of a dolphin, but the eyes of a bat, we'll say. And that's as far as we'll go with that.
That's me after today's test.
Oh, you had one today?
But it outlines... I did have one
today.
Do you have glasses? I had the full shebang. Nope.
Are you
and
gutting
apparently I
them?
don't need them.
Oh, wow.
No, which is great. Even after I was like that, like literally straight after. Like, yeah, cheers for that test, mate. Thanks.
How's that?
Here we go. That's better. Better. Excuse me, I think I said batter. I don't know where that came from.
Don't worry, we all get
batter.
confused by your accent sometimes.
Thank you. So, if we scroll down, it says, as Prime Minister, you have dealt with a very difficult hand with COVID in Ukraine, and you deserve great credit of much of the way in which the government has handled these twin crises. Your recent visit to Kiev was a conspicuous act of leadership. That's to be debated, personally. So scrolling down, it says, first, as Sue Gray's report, Sue Gray is Partygate, basically. So the MPs finding out that, of course, that Boris basically was having a party during the height of lockdown. You have presided over a culture of casual law breaking at 10 Downing Street in relation to COVID. To describe yourself as vindicated by the report is grotesque. Secondly, both the Queen's speech and elsewhere, your current policy priorities are deeply questionable. Breach of the Northern Irish Protocol would be economically very damaging, politically foolhardy, and almost certainly illegal. I do love the language here. You are the leader of the Conservative and Unionist Party, yet you are putting the Union itself gravely at risk. The Rwanda policy is ugly, likely to be counterproductive, and of doubtful legality. Privatisation of Channel 4 is an unnecessary and provocative attempt to address a political non-issue during a time of crisis at significant cost of the independent UK film and TV industry. No genuinely conservative government should have supported the recent ban on noisy protest, at least of all when basic human freedoms are facing the threat of extinction. Doesn't mention us, mentions it in Ukraine, of course. So, I think he's made a few good points there, and I think a lot of people are just so sick and tired of where this direction is going in terms of the Conservative government, in terms of the Conservative Party in general. You have other people like Priti Patel who, say the big talk, give the big, oh, I'm going to do all this about illegal immigration, and then nothing happens. She signs up a Rwanda deal, which now we know is going to be challenged by human rights lawyers. And it was almost a story that we knew was going to play out. So that's my opinion on it, and a few from, of course, the other MPs that have showed their disgruntledness of the Prime Minister. But we carry on, we move. And they're all part of the WEF anyway.
So there's no escape in sight. We're going to move across the pond. I love the labeling of producer Olivia. The top path was Britannia. Now we're just going with Murica. Across the pond to Washington, D.C., Matthew McConaughey, who has used, large caliber weapons in many, many movies. He apparently is a native of the Uvalde town in Texas that had a school shooting, where, of course, it is being more and more revelations about how the police failed to go in on time. There was a mother who spoke out now that said she went in when the police wouldn't and grabbed her 2 children, which, of course, is very sad when a small woman is going in unarmed despite police telling her not to, and the police are nowhere to be seen. I don't know what they're like. I don't know why you're afraid of a teenager who is armed just as you are, but that may be near here nor there. Matthew McConaughey was at the White House, of course, and who better to speak on policy than an actor whom, he's here on some topics, he's there on others. He's basically like the Bill Maher of politics now, except he's not doesn't have a political show. So let's see what he had to say, and then we'll comment on some of his suggestions.
We need to invest in mental health care.
Okay.
We need safer schools.
Yes.
We need to restrain sensationalized media coverage.
Yes.
We need to restore our family values.
Yes.
We need to restore
Yes.
our American values.
Yes. This isn't as bad as I thought it would be.
We need responsible gun ownership. Responsible gun ownership. We need background checks.
have those.
We need to raise the minimum age to purchase an AR-15 rifle.
Don't know why.
To 21.
Okay.
We need a waiting period for those rifles. We need red flag laws and consequences for those who abuse them. These are reasonable, practical, tactical regulations to our nation, states, communities, schools, and homes. Responsible gun owners are fed up with the Second Amendment being abused and hijacked by some deranged individuals. These regulations are not a step back. They're a step forward for a civil society and the Second Amendment.
Now, Lewis, I'm going to say that I'm a victim of my own news feed here because what I read made it sound way worse than it is. The only thing, I was writing some down. Mental health, of course, you can always say that that's easy. Background checks, for the most part, we already have those. What people are against is background checks where it's specifically for guns and people can tell that you're having a background check for guns. But you will already see that those happen in many cases, if not most. The AR or assault rifle, here's the thing. Most mass shootings aren't done with the weapons they just think that they think are scariest. It just happens in some places. It doesn't matter what the weapon is. Most of the time it'll matter of the proficiency of the shooter and the will to cause as much damage as they can until they get caught. Now, the Virginia shooter had pistols, and I know we're getting to YouTube gray territory here, so I'll keep it more vague, but when we can't just react, in my opinion, to the weapon that's used and freak out over how it looks, because in some cases it's a knife on the London Bridge or something like that, or it's a van in Paris or in Toronto. So if we're saying that it's the problem of the item instead of the person, I think that's the wrong thing to do. And raising the age of 18 to 21, I mean, I don't agree with the drinking age being 21 federally either. So if you're going to say that everything should be 18 or 21, I think America needs to decide on that. I think most things are 18 other than drinking. You can join the military. You can drive without anybody else. You can go to a bar. You can do all these sorts of things. You can gamble. So I think they need to decide on that. I think 18 is fine. I think they're just saying that because they think that assault rifles shouldn't be in the hands of a person who's high school age. But again, if they can still get pistols and everything, I don't think that's much of a difference. The waiting period, I'm not totally against it, but why would you need a waiting period? Just to give people a second chance. I think they're willing to wait if they get the gun anyways. But the big problem I have is red flag laws, and I'll tell you why people are against that. And I'll tell you why, logically, I think everybody should be against it. And it's because right now Joe Biden's in office. Crazy Democrats are all around. AOC, Bernie Sanders, Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, Chuck Schumer, all of them nuts. I'm not afraid to say that. They get to decide, and the people they appoint get to decide who is unfit to have a firearm. Now, in this day and age, it's going to be somebody who goes to Infowars.com or somebody who, reads, who likes Charlie Kirk or watches Tim Pool or likes Joe Rogan or something. Those people are going to decide in a very biased method what is a red flag to them, those lawmakers. Now, if you want the other side of the story, which you do on Rebel News, what happens to the people who hate Donald Trump? Let's say Donald Trump gets reelected, or we, play Superman spinning the world backwards, and we go back to 2016 to 2020, and Donald Trump's in charge, and he says we need red flag laws. And all of a sudden, people who watch MSNBC, people who vote for Bernie Sanders, people who watch the Young Turks and watch Cenk freaking out about stuff, and Hassan Piker saying, I'm a socialist, but I have millions of dollars. Who's to decide on which side, who the crazy people are? What are the terms? What do you decide as a person who's unfit to have something that's in the Constitution? Now you got to the point where you need to change the Constitution. I don't think it's wise to do that for this, just like it's not wise to do that for freedom of speech. That's why people are against it, and that's why I think for both sides, you shouldn't want the government to decide who cannot obtain a firearm. And in many of these cases, Lewis, including this Texas shooting and Buffalo, the writing was on the wall, and the laws and the government agencies like the FBI, they're almost always aware. The teachers are almost always aware. This happened with the Nicholas Cruz kid as well in Florida. It seems to me, and even if you want to go back as far as Columbine, where they decide to blame Eminem and Marilyn Manson, the flags are already there if you want to call them red flags, but nobody in these law enforcement agencies want to pay attention to them or enforce them or do anything about them, it seems to me. So, in a lot of these cases, it's not a legally obtained firearm anyways. So I don't know why people seem to think that these laws are going to stop criminals and why criminals would suddenly not break the law. I mean, you could go to any horrible, outer city or inner city like Compton you want to talk about, the outside of Chicago you want to talk about. You think all these guns are legal? Do you think more gun laws are going to deter them? They have not, they will not, they are not. And then they say, oh, it's because there's so many guns coming in from other places. Well, how come the guns aren't coming into the legal states and causing problems there? So I don't think Matthew McConaughey was as bad as some people on the right wing made him sound. I disagree with red flag laws. I disagree with some of what he said. But some of the stuff was reasonable. American culture, the family unit, mental health. That's hard to disagree with, even in its vagary, Lewis. But I just think logically, if you think about red flag laws and increasing the age seems pretty arbitrary to me. Do you have any thoughts on this?
Well, it's a difficult subject for living in a country where if you go camping, there's certain laws about certain cutlery that you can take. So it's quite a difficult subject for a Britishman such as myself.
Britishman.
But trying to understand the Second Amendment from my perspective, if you look at the top major cities that have the most gun violence or gun crime in America, I believe Detroit is number one. Chicago, I think, is like second, or it might be the other way around. There's so many.
Baltimore, St. Louis,
and they're
New
all
Orleans.
Weirdly, all of them have the strictest gun laws in the US. So I think that's not a coincidence. I think that there is something there, and there is something that needs to be looked at, because these laws don't prevent criminals from using these weapons or obtaining these weapons. They're still in circulation. I mean, America have had this Second Amendment, of course, since we left, and yeah, it's part of American culture. And as much as it's quite alien to us or someone like me who's over across the pond, I can understand rights to protect property and various other things, but to completely outright ban and then to really squeeze this amount of legislation. I mean, the Democrats have been doing this for years, and it's proven to have no results. It's actually made it a lot worse. So, what is the answer to that? Well,
go ahead.
It's a difficult one. It's a very difficult one, because I understand the sentiment behind it, but it's just not logical. And if you look at the statistics from these major cities and where the majority of gun violence are coming from, it's these major Democrat-run cities, and it's almost like these cities have been just deprived and just left to carry on, and they're all Democrat. It's really weird. And I've noticed as well, and people will say, "Oh, well, Texas is up there," and the statistics from what I've seen is they measure in suicide gun deaths with as an overarching just gun deaths in general. So they'll actually fuse the two together, which I think is wrong, because clearly there's context there. So I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I'd be happy to be proved wrong, but this is how I've seen it, and this is what I'm seeing it from an Englishman's or a Britishman, as I've said weirdly, that lens.
Well, I think that there's a reason America's the most free country in the world. I think there's a reason why they don't have as many lockdowns and as many restrictions on themselves. Is because they've fought off authority before. And a lot of people don't know that there are other countries with more gun violence than America. You could El Salvador, places like Honduras, South Africa. El Salvador has an absurd amount of gun violence. And what do you think it's like there? Like, do you think that banning guns there is going to solve the problem? Do you think that there's less deaths in South Africa from gun violence than there is in the average American city? And you know what, to your point about these cities, they've been run by Democrats for 30 upwards of 70 years. We're talking about Detroit, Chicago, St. Louis, Baltimore, all these cities. The list goes on, by the way. And try something new. Try something new where somebody will come in and be like, this is a different approach to gun crime, because it's clearly not working. Lori Lightfoot in Chicago is one of the worst mayors of all time, and she thinks there's no problem. So it goes to show that you can change your vote and maybe think that, like President Trump used to say, what do you have to lose? People are dying in the streets every weekend. Every time there's an event, a day in Chicago that has fireworks, people use that to cover their gunshots, and that happens almost every weekend.
Could be worse. Could be worse. Could be over here where pepper spray is banned in England.
Here
I'm not sure about Scotland or Wales. It's banned, and you'll suffer the same sentence or imprisonment as you would if you fired a handgun. Pepper spray.
We cannot have pepper spray here, or tasers, or anything for a woman to defend themselves. It's pretty much banned. Exactly. Olivia, do we have any paid chats you can send to me on our... Can you send them to me on our message there with Lewis? And we'll... Because we got... one of our TVs exploded, I'll say. And we don't have that up to bring it up in a large font setting. Lewis Brackpool of Rebel News UK. All right, let's do these three here. G867, which sounds like a airplane, for $10 says, regarding Toronto airport lineups, the joke is on the people who complied and are pincushions for Trudeau. Now he's oppressing you. Noticed yet? I think they have, Lewis. I think they have.
Shall I do the next one?
Sure.
King7734 donated $1. The Essex Police monitor can't you... The Essex Police monitor can't you overseas. I'm going to troll the out of them. Well, just go.
I mean, I'm hanging out in the Cayman Islands.
I'm not advocating for anything because I don't want a little visit.
You're getting one anyways.
Basically, I probably am.
Bobby's banging the clubs.
Probably, outside.
He's got another one for you there, I think.
The pouring rain. Cool.
Oh wow, it's raining in England.
So much. It is. I know. Shock horror. So much BS on the Essex Police site, but you can report antisocial behaviour.
That's insane.
FFS. Yeah, I know.
Final Fantasy, I think, is what he's saying there. He's a big Final Fantasy VII fan. I think that's what that stands for. It is. That remake Part 2 needs to come out, and we'll definitely webcam each other on MSN Messenger while we play that. I'll have the color in my name, and some always away status as well, so nobody knows if you're there or not.
Of course, classic.
So down in Texas, of course, they had a disgusting drag queen show with children there tipping them, and men with fake rear ends and such. And now Texas legislatures, I should say lawmakers, because that's what they always use in the U.S. I don't know if that's just a Commonwealth thing, but they announced a bill to ban minors from attending drag shows, and this is written by whom? Ian Miles Chong, I'm guessing. My question to you, Lewis Miles Brackpool, is: do you think that legislating this type of thing is the answer, or would you say it's more of a cultural shift that needs to happen?
I think both. You know, why is it we don't allow boys to go to strip clubs?
I don't know, Lewis.
Because
Why?
it's disgusting and it's gross, right? And children shouldn't be exposed to that. There we go. I've just dismantled the argument. Why is it the same? Why is suddenly this an exemption? So, there you go.
I don't know. I guess maybe we do need to have
no
laws.
Explanation needed.
It is a inherently sexual thing for these men dressing up as women. Whether you think that's true or not, I think people are being naive if they don't. Which is fine if you're an adult.
I just want to say, people only use the big government. Oh, what you're for small government, and then suddenly, when a law that people propose or conservatives propose, such as this, banning minors from attending drag queen shows, suddenly, so you don't believe in you believe in big government now, do you? It's like, cherry picking, mate.
What's producer Olivia pulling up here? I'm not sure I like what I see. What is it?
Because I can't see. I can't see.
It's I think it's drag queens with butt cheek implants or something.
Oh, great! I don't want to see.
Yeah, I think people have seen enough of what the drag queens did. This is a popular one.
Oh, is it the video?
Well, they have. Yeah, you can throw that up. This is where you can see the children. Like, this is not somebody just we're having fun. Like women seem to like drag queens, but this is not behavior or attire meant for small children, nor the type of dancing meant for small children.
Family-friendly event, of course.
Of course it is. Let's bring our kids.
Of course it is.
We've got a morbidly obese person. We've got crazy people. We've got this poor little girl who's being coached and groomed, you might even say, into giving them money. You know what, Lewis? He just wants to be a pretty girl, and who cares with the children's brains, you know? Who cares about their development? And I guess that's the mindset here. It's just having fun.
Yeah, but banning it, mate, you're for big government. Do you know what I mean?
That's when you got to put on the voice. What, mate? You're putting on more government legislatures?
I thought you were for small government, bruv.
Where are we here? Robert De Niro, who's just not a crazy person at all. He is the co-founder of the Tribeca Film Festival, and he just thinks that Vladimir Zelensky is so amazing that he needs to involve him in the event. This comes after, excuse me.
Of course.
He was on Stephen Colbert, who isn't a left-wing shill at all.
Of course.
Saying how Joe Biden's been doing such a great job. But let's see what Robert De Niro has to say about Vladimir Zelensky being at this year's event.
Trying to do this, and I don't know if I should say, but I'll say a statement by Zelensky on all the films, in black before he doesn't even know the title of the film comes out the way I understand it, and we're trying to do that now. See if we can get a statement and a sentence or two from him, or a little more, and that would be something to address what's going on over there. That's the least we can do.
It's the least we can do.
Impactful.
It's our responsibility. All right, get your statement from Sudan. Get your statement from some North Korean escapees. Get a statement from the people of Georgia, who Russia also invaded. Get a statement from Belarus, who basically has no choice but to be a puppet state for Russia. Get a statement from the Hutus and the Tutsis. Let's get a statement from the people who wanted the Ivory Coast to become Cote d'Ivoire instead. Let's just get a statement from all places in the world that we can exploit for our own political gain, I think.
Yeah. Mr. De Niro, what are your thoughts on the Azov Battalion?
Well, that's a lie. They're patriots. Those are the patriots that love the country.
Oh no, that's Russian propaganda, mate. Do you know what I mean?
And then you ask him what he thinks of American nationalism, and he'll say that's white supremacy. There's some stuff happening in baseball, and we want to get to a new segment soon. But there's a San Francisco Giants manager who said he's not coming out for the national anthem because of gun violence. Of course, it's San Francisco. He's very brave to do that because that'll change everyone's mind. There is a pitcher named Sean Doolittle who now plays for the Washington Nationals. He spoke at a American Socialist event. So we've got all all walks of political lives, and we can throw this up, please. A Breitbart article. Who wrote this? Okay, I don't know that person. I was hoping it was Patriot J, who writes for Breitbart now. Yeah, so I would like to know how much of his salary is being donated to the American Socialists. Like, shouldn't he be evenly distributing his salary and maybe taking down maybe $100,000 a year? I want to know, can you look this up, Olivia, please? Sean Doolittle's salary, or is it included in the article? S-E-A-N, Doolittle, how you think it's spelled, and salary. So I want to know how much the socialist, maybe he is very charitable, Lewis. Maybe him and Harry Kane are getting together and they're just taking a knee and donating all their money to all the right causes. What does that say? So I think it's fair if he only takes about $100,000. He lives in D.C. now, so he can live in a nice place in Northern Virginia or something, and then just give away the other $1.4 million that he makes to the right causes. I would assume that what he's doing, because socialism, you got to redistribute the wealth. And do we have any quotes or anything of what he may have said? Is there a video attached to that? No. All right. Well, Lewis, go ahead.
The counter argument would be, well, what if he was donating to a conservative event? So what then, Andrew?
Well,
is that suddenly okay?
It's suddenly okay when your ideology does not dictate that you should be taking other people's money, is what I would say to that. If you are donating to Buddhism or like Islam or something else that I don't agree with, the thing about that is those belief systems don't require you to they don't have a position of let's redistribute everybody else's wealth. Now, Islam does require you to pay penance, just like many other sections of Christianity do. The Seventh-day Adventists and everything, where you give a percentage of your salary. But if you're going to be part of a organization that requires you to redistribute wealth and have extreme social programs, then why can't you do it yourself? There's nothing stopping socialists from creating a less ridiculous version of Chaz or CHOP, those autonomous zones that popped up in 2020. People do this. Amish people do this. Mennonites do this. Kanye West does this. I mean, you can go pool your money together, buy a big swath of land in Montana or Idaho or South or North Dakota, start your own, little society, and do that, Sean Doolittle. You've had plenty. Is this him talking? Yeah, I recognize his beer. Let's hear what he has to say. It's glitching out on her here. What's the caption there? Oh, thanks for speaking. I guess it was at his event. Well, so I mentioned there's so many politics going on in Major League Baseball right now, Lewis. We go down a couple states south to Florida and Tampa, where, Yankee, I was going to come up with a good name for him, social media extraordinaire, Yakov Pollock lives. I think he lives near somewhere. I think his exact address is the following. No, I don't know. But in Tampa, 5 players are declining to have a pride logo on their jersey because I believe that they're Christians. This is from Outkick.com. My friend Gary Sheffield Jr., who I call GS2 because it sounds cool, son of former major leaguer Gary Sheffield Sr. So there's 5 pitchers, I believe, who've all decided they're not going to wear the thing on their arm, which is that star you saw above them. And now, of course, they're all promoting it because they're Christians. And, the manager says this isn't going to bother anybody. This isn't going to separate the team. The manager's name is Kevin Cashman, which, of course, is also a cool name. But he says it's not going to divide the team, Lewis. Why? Because different people have different beliefs. Who would have thunk it? And who would have thought that if a bunch of you get together and you don't want to do it, that nothing bad will truly happen. People will be mad at you for a day and a half, and then you'll go back to playing baseball. And Harry Kane could really take a page out of this book, Lewis. He's kneeling with the armband. I mean, he's still kneeling. Why is he still kneeling?
Well, that's a very good question. I'd love to figure out that answer because I don't know that. I don't have the answer for that, and I'd love to figure out why and figure out like what goes through Gareth Southgate's mind every time that he allows it to happen.
I think what it goes through his mind is, "My God, I'm hideous." This is what goes through his mind most of the time. Take that, Gareth Southgate.
It's when he says that it's to do with educating.
Mm-hmm.
So
everybody's educated.
It's to educate people. So kneeling down on a pitch is educating, is it?
And I understand.
Me on what?
There he is. Somebody photoshopped a mask on. Let's show that one. He's not actually wearing a mask on the field, but he is wearing the armband and he is kneeling. And there's a Ukrainian flag. And I tell you, that's a great image. I need to find that. Please send that to me, Olivia. That's amazing. And then that song.
If you want to put that, I'll retweet it. I don't mind. Although I would probably police around a bit.
They're still kneeling. After that. And I understand there has been a history. Like, football, soccer has handled this better in ways than other leagues because they don't usually go way over the top because there has been racism in soccer a lot in Eastern Europe during the Euro 2012. I remember could you imagine? Ukraine had a lot of very racist fans. They would make monkey chant. Not in Ukraine, Lewis. They had monkey chants at black players. They had anti-Jew banners that they would furl across the stadium. And these are only second division teams. It's not like they're men's clubs down at the pitch, Lewis. So this stuff happens, and usually soccer leagues are pretty good about this. You know, they can have the thing where it says end racism or anyone can play, but of course it's the English men's team who takes it far and beyond everybody because they want to out-woke everybody across the world, and Harry Kane just can't help himself. Maybe if England won something, we'd be a bit more happy, Lewis Brackpool. Let's get to our final new segment here. We're doing something new. We put together a little bit of it's sports-themed almost, plays of the week, but it's political plays of the week. Do we have that, Olivia? I sent it to you in a MP4 format on our messenger service we have here. We won't out ourselves for that. And basically, we just want to go through some of the quicker stuff that's happened in the past week. Pardon me? It is in the... Interesting. You didn't get it. I would love to leave and come back and send it to you. No, it's in the one with both of Lewis and yourself. It's got all the notes there. You got it there? We'll give her a couple minutes, Lewis. What do you think is the reason that they can't let this go in the English Premier League, Lewis?
They're worried. I think when you have major corporations still backing this message, even after finding out that BLM are scammers, even after that, they kind of want to keep pushing that type of virtue signaling. It's made me tired almost because I'm so sick and tired of it. And on top of that, when the Hungarian students were booing them, there was no sort of, well, why are you booing them? There was no questions being put to say, well, why are you booing? I'm sure they would have given a good answer to that because nobody wants politics and sport anymore. Everyone's sick and tired of it. We've had the most draining 2.5 to 3 years of continuous ramming down of our throats, politics, COVID, the lot. And people just want to watch sports just to tune off and just, enjoy the game. And now you've got, still, years later, a type of Marxist styled virtue that is a way to educate people.
We're all learning very much.
Sorry. I'm sorry. It's people are sick and tired of politics and sport. The gesture doesn't educate. It actually divides more people because people get absolutely sick and tired of it. And there's no questions to people booing to say, hang on a minute, why are we why are they booing? What's the reason for this? It's just they're ignorant, they're wrong, we're right. And there's no sort of, hang on a minute, can we approach this differently? You know, we have Kick It Out, which has been an organisation for decades now, and they've done wonders with what they've with what they're campaigning for, and have tremendous backing. And, you know, calling out all of the horrible disparities from many games, from decades, from not even going to European games or Eastern European games, from our own backyard. And, you know, we're all pretty in tune with that. But then when you start mimicking Americanized Marxist political agendas, it becomes tiresome, and it becomes sort of like there's no message here. It's just your virtue signaling. There's nothing. There's no. What am I trying to say, Andrew? There's no value to conversation.
Yeah, there's no spirit behind it. And there was a couple players who stood up against it. Wilfred Zaha was one African guy, and then a Champions League player for Nottingham Forest. I forget his name, but he was against it as well. All right, we have the video queued up. Let's put that on the screen there, Olivia, and let's just say whatever you want, Lewis. The first thing here, go ahead and play it.
Well, it's Disney for a start.
So the first thing happening here, Lewis, Disneyland Paris, somebody's trying to propose, and apparently it's the wrong place to do so.
Sorry, what's going?
Oh, so this is an employee who just comes in and steals the ring, and he just.
That's right. It's over here. It's gonna be even better.
Yeah, it's gonna be even better over here. I've just ruined your life.
Oh, that's good. That is awkward. Oh yes.
Yeah, so this is pro-abortion activists versus Christians.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, just inciting violence on camera. Okay. Okay.
Does anybody believe this guy's knocking anybody out, though?
Amen. Were you also with the New York City Young Republicans Club who was out here last month?
As it was in the beginning, is now, never shall be. World without end. Amen.
They had America First hats.
Forgive us
the
our
Nazi
sins.
symbols.
Why do I doubt that?
Lead all souls to heaven, especially those most in need of thy mercy.
Is that why you don't like abortion? Because, like the Buffalo shooter, it reduces white birth rates? Are you supportive of the Buffalo shooter? Is he, like, helping your agenda?
He's throwing everything at the wall.
And my responsibility as Prime Minister is to serve all Canadians, not just the Canadians who voted for me.
Unvaccinated ones?
And that will always mean
truckers,
listening to people you don't agree with, and figuring out how to compromise in ways that keep people safe and move things forward. And it's messy. And it's far easier to stand
sometimes you have to freeze people's bank accounts.
Safe again. Much harder to figure out how to actually do it.
He's so lame. Well, this is more pro-abortion protesters at Boston Celtics game. Topless. You know what has to do a lot with abortion? Basketballs. So this is an MP, an image on Parliament Hill in Canada. They have a picture of a woman at security who hasn't revealed her vaccination status. So they're checking every single time.
Right.
This is just a robbery in broad daylight in Brooklyn. By gunpoint.
And everyone just filming it.
It's a normal thing, Lewis.
Oh,
this is New Orleans.
Yeah, gun control worked very, very smoothly.
Just a regular day.
Yeah.
A story came out where Kanye West took actor Danny McBride on a boat and asked him to play him in a movie. Lewis, I don't know how you think that one would go.
Oh, more of this.
Yeah, this is one of the drag queens being accosted by one of the reporters there.
You don't think that's
away?
Yeah, I believe so.
You don't think that's disgusting?
me?
Your mom's a bitch. Go on. You don't think that's disgusting?
It's a great argument.
Dancing for little children. You should be ashamed of yourself dancing for little children. You should be ashamed of yourself. You guys dancing little children.
The ride of
you
a
should be
drag
ashamed
queen.
of yourselves. You're disgusting.
Hyundai
Think
Veloster.
about what you just did. Okay, that's fine, but you danced naked in front of little children. You did.
Things are going off when the green-haired mullet lady. That's always the time to stop when we break out the mullets. See, I have another angle for this. I think the gorilla, the orangutan, just really wants to hug this guy. He's not hurting him, is he? Well, maybe I've never been gripped by an orangutan before. Please, don't leave me. It's kind of sad if you think about it. Maybe he just wants a friend. This is Lewis when his friends try to leave from playing FIFA online.
Does he bite his leg?
Was he biting his leg? I don't know.
He looked like he was biting his leg. That video, I'm sorry, it's so funny. I don't know why. I think it's the reaction because he's not saying anything. He's just going.
Well, that thing could literally tear you in half, so that's the problem there. I think that he's thinking about. Do we have any more paid chats, or is that the end, Olivia? Okay, that's the end. May no orangutans grab you guys. Don't get too close to them. Thank you for watching rebelnews.com/livestreams with Lewis Brackpool and myself. Click on the UK reporting tab to see his latest stories about, do women have penises and such. And my show will be airing tomorrow night with Jason Miller of Getter, the CEO. He's got new features to talk about. And the youngest Billboard charting hip-hop artist ever, Chandler Crump, who, of course, got banned for Let's Go Brandon while being on the Billboard charts. Anything to say, Lewis?
Just thank you for having me once again and putting up with me, mate. I know it's been a while. But
I've cried many a nights.
Yeah, I thought so.
I've sent you many a nose bitings, but we live on.
We do live on and move on.
All right, we're going to leave you with a clip from someone. What's this, Olivia? She can't remember. I can't remember. rebelnews.com/livestreams every single day to get the best feed. Thank you for everybody watching on all the alternative platforms and rebelnews.com directly. We will see you across the pond next week, Lewis Brackpool.
That's it, mate. You take it easy.
To be here today, and in fact,
Take
this is a chance for me to say thank you more formally. The Chevy Volt is upstairs. We'll be able to take a look at it. We got about 1,000 photos.
Yeah.
Is it a plug? It's as simple as that.
The batteries are in the trunk?
No, the battery in this particular design is a T shape right down the center and across the back seat area. Because everybody thought we killed the electric vehicle. No, we didn't. It's alive and well.
So what's charging the batteries right now? What's the source of
Well,
electricity?
here, it's coming from the building.
I mean, is it, what's our mix of power?
Oh, actually, Lansing feeds the building.
What's that?
Lansing feeds power to the building. So I don't know.
They're,
I bet you they're a bit of coal. Well, they're heavy on natural gas, aren't they?
right now the car's charging off of your grid?
Right. It would be charging off our grid, which is about 95% coal.